Now the hoodie. The hoodie look in our beautiful hoodie. We already have the material ID. What we're gonna do, we want to unwrap this, and let's see how bad this is looking. I can see already here this is looking rather bad. So before we do that, maybe the mistake here is this is not connected. I guess right. I guess right. Did I not get right? No, no. Okay. So make sure you select everything in the vertex mode, and you do just the welds. Just make sure everything is alright. Okay. Okay. Everything looks good. Now this one, this can be a problem, this part over here. You can just add some mesh in there. Okay, you can collapse this as well. Okay, and go back to the dot, which is what I'm gonna do. We have this dot over here. Okay. Now unwrap. Let's unwrap this baby. Okay. Unwrap UAV. Now you can see pretty much a seam from there to there, and there's here. Now a good way when you're unwrapping, so maybe you want just to see it, okay? This is how a hoodie looks like. So you can see we have this seam here, which we probably don't need. But overall, maybe we don't want to destroy this much, because we know we have a sphere, and we know that the sphere is already mapped in, okay? So what we want to see is, we want to see how bad this actually is, how bad this looks, how bad this map is. What is the problems we have? For example, why we have this seam over here? This seam doesn't make any sense to me. Unless, when we come here to poly, this is actually not connected. This is a loosened piece. It can happen. So make sure everything, again, it's welds, okay? And then unwrap. Okay, so now you can see here, you can edit your seams. If you don't know how to do this, you should watch my other tutorial that I teach this. I believe it's in the body shape or the I don't remember the name. The how to make a mini dress, I believe. Okay. So we're gonna select, first of all, we're gonna select all of this, and we're gonna make fit. We need this to fit. Okay. And there's a couple ways you can do this. I'm just gonna use the zooming like this. If you hold shift, it snaps into the direction you are. So this is not a good, maybe not the best one. Maybe you want to just zoom like this and like this. So now let's try to understand what's happening here. Okay, so we know that this dot over here, it's this guy over here. Okay, how do we want to make a map for this? We want to make a simple map that people can just have a texture to hit, and voila. So okay, so for that, what we need first is we need actually to get one of those voila textures. Okay, so we can probably even use the hair texture just for purposes. And I'm gonna add and see. Okay, let's see how bad this actually is. Okay, as you can see, overall it's looking pretty darn good. See, it's looking really good. Now what we need to fix is those ears, obviously, but like the shape itself, since we made from a sphere, they actually look good. They all go into there, which is a good pattern. Okay, so we're not going to change too much the map here unless you want to make something specific. And if you need help in unwrapping, I can make a whole tutorial just talking about unwrapping, but I don't think for this tutorial we're not going to use that. Okay, now we have this problem here. We're going to find why we have this problem, and I can almost guess this guy is that problem right over there. Oh, right over there. Am I wrong? Am I not? I think I am wrong, actually. This is not the problem. So who is this guy? Okay, this guy over here, and this over here. Okay, so this is supposed to be there. Okay, so we can come here, and we have a tool, target welds, and we're gonna bang. Look at that, it's gone. Okay, now we have a straight seam from this side to that side. Okay, this probably was because we use symmetry. Now this map is nice. I don't want to touch the way the hoodie looks beside the ears. I want the dev that is going to work on this as some power over those ears. Okay, so what power are we going to give him? So the first thing we want to do is we want to select those like this. Make sure you don't, actually I think this is ignore back facing, yeah. Make sure you don't have that on when you're selecting stuff like this. I want the dev to have power over those little bubbies right there. Now there's a couple ways you want to do this, or a couple ways you can do this, and a couple ways you want to do this. It doesn't make any sense. What I mean is there's a few ways you can do this, and a few ways you want to do this, a few ways you can be, oh my god, a few ways it can be easy for the other dev, a few ways it can be easy for you. This depends. Now, remember the shape, they're not perfect. Don't, I know it just for sure purposes, but how are we gonna give control to the dev of the ears so we can imagine put number here, you know, do his stuff. So the way you can do this is we know the ears are this division over here. What we can do is we can make this an independent map. So how we're gonna make this an independent map is we're gonna break this, okay? So the way we're gonna break this is very simple. You can just come here and, for example, have the box modifier, and I already have the ears separated, but they look messy this way, okay? So don't do it this way. Control Z. Oh, Control Z, not happening. Okay, not gonna happen. Okay, okay. Let's go fix this guy again. Okay, so let's give control to the dev. So we come here and we want, first of all, let's come here and we want the dev to have power over the inside of this here. And it's going to be material, it has to be different material. So why is that? So the dev has more power, but you have more work, obviously. So set ID 14. Actually, that's a hair, so that's 15, I believe. 15, and then on the overall here, and stop. And those guys can be as well. Looking fabulous. Now we select this here. This. I think I did a good selection, I hope. Okay, and now we're gonna set this ID to be 16. Okay. Now if we come here, we have an option that you can select by material ID. And we come here, 16. Oh, obviously, we have to now apply again. First mid material, and then apply again. And face, 16. Okay, voila. There is our beautiful ears. When you open the material EV, those materials are connected. So we're gonna break them. Okay, we're gonna break. We have the ears now here. So how does this work? What I did by heat is this plane is gonna show all those guys are aligned into this plane. Okay. What I mean by this is if I come here and render UAV to say 6, whatever, I'm not gonna, no, yeah, okay, sure, and save this in here. All formats, like, and PNG, okay, save. I can 48-bit, sure, why not? And save. Here it is. Now, even a simple Photoshop for the test, probably gonna have, there you go. Oh, okay, now we have to open with Photoshop because he has no background currently. Okay. Now to test this, what we do here, for example, we come here test, and then we put the number, well, no, for example 7, because deadly sin, I like the number 7. See, something simple as this, a 7, and then we save. We save as a PNG. Save. You want to replace? Yeah, I want to replace. No, okay. Voila. No, I don't want to save that. Now, oops. Now, how we test how this is? Simply, we come here. We know it's 16, so we know at least. Oh, but we can start working here. We're gonna add 2 more, and this guy is gonna be the 16. We can already have this, or we can just use this guy over there. And let's turn off the map. Okay, he has no map already, good. Now we're gonna come here and we can apply this guy there so that we can't see the number 7. Okay, so that's a problem. We can see the lines, but we can actually not see the number 7. Actually, I don't even see the number 7 on the material itself. So I'm guessing you did not know. The 7 is right there. But he's not applying to it for some reason, so let's make another one. It just shows gray. Okay. We know the 7 is right here, so that's not good. It means this map is not precise at all. So what we have wrong? We have the 7 in there. It's supposed to show, so which means this material 7 is all stretchy, is not good. So the way we're gonna fix this is we're gonna actually align those, and we're gonna make a we call it mapping, and we're gonna flatten a map. We're gonna separate every piece by piece of that ear. Okay. There you go. Now you can tweak this map a little bit more. I will show you. Maybe we want to first hide those. And maybe we want to incorporate, if you want to give the match control to dev, we want to select material ID as well. 15. Better unhide all, make sure I have 15. Break. Move 15 out of there. I'll move this out of the place. I'll completely set up both of those, the full year, and just mapping and flatten map. Okay, and voila. We have all the pieces of this map right now. Since the other meta was not working well, I'm going to show you this meta. It's a little bit more boring, but it should be fine. Now let's see, where is this inside? Okay, this inside is broken. As you can see, this inside is totally broken. But look what it did here. Like the outside is actually connected. This is actually good because the gap that looks at this probably not going to be having this much work of detail over here. Okay, I'm just showing the complex way of doing this. Okay, you can just now. I'm pretty sure you can just add everything. This is the top piece. We don't want the top piece here. We want probably the top piece to look like more over there. What is this? This is the back. Okay. Now this is where we start organizing this evil map. Okay. How do you organize this evil map? First, uncheck this. It kind of helps you out. First, we want to have those full. We know this is the inside, even if they're weird. I know this guys are supposed to be together, so we're gonna break again. And now we select here, here, and we use the option stitch to average. This cannot gonna work, so we're gonna go to edge and grab this edge, which is, as you can see when I select this edge, what it's telling me, this guy, it connects with that guy. Okay, good. Then do it, you know? But there's options to do this. As you can see, the best option is the stitch custom, apparently. It drags the guy over there. Like this. And now what we have here, it's the representing of this here precisely. Everything needs to fit in this little hole. Okay? So the other map was not working for some reason, but I'm going to show you what was supposed to happen. So we know the 7 is somewhere around here, right? See what I'm talking about? This was supposed to happen. It was supposed to be the 7 inside of that year, because, you know, that's what I did, that's what I wanted. And this is exactly what's going to happen when the dev draws something on top of this map. You know that in this year, this is going to happen. Again, this is a precise work. We are even separating them. You know, you can have 1 here and 2 here. This is a very like detailed mapping. I said I was gonna make a tutorial explaining unwrapping, but apparently I'm already doing a tutorial making an unwrap. But I think it's needed, and why not, right? Since we are already learning, at least we learn everything. So now we want to find out now the other faces. There you go. We want to break, and we want to move them here, and we want to go in segments over here. So now I'm just using here to change, okay, and then I'm pressing this option over here. That's pretty much what I'm doing. So segments, select the segment, and bang, segment, and bang. What we have here is the other here, okay. Now, if you want to rotate this precisely, you can turn angle snaps like I'm doing right now, and look at that, 90, perfectly. See, the years, they're different. If you want to make them to be symmetric, you can just mirror this, and you can put them one on top of the other, precisely. You can even, like when you're doing then what you put on one, it's going to show on the other one. Let me give you an example. You see the 7 over there? It's exactly what will happen, okay? Now, this type of mapping, it's good for devs that like to have trouble, okay? Devs that like precise work. So you're going to tell them, this is the left here and this is the right here. Actually, no, this is the left and this is the right here, okay? And they need to understand this. And for them to understand this, you can actually make your own map before. You can put like a 1 here, 2 here, just showing him, okay? Now let's fix the back. It's the same process. Actually, the back, it's already fixed for us. What we need to do is to break, okay? Okay, we know this is the back of the right here, okay? So the right here is this one on the paper, left, right, so it doesn't confuse. We rotate 90 degrees. We know this is the back. That is another option. This is exactly the shape that is there. So there won't be any mistake at all. If he puts a cross here, it will be like precisely there, okay? It's precise when you have the same shape here as it is here. There's an option here which is called the straight selection. What the straight selection would do, this now it's straight. So you can show you, I'm going to come to the 7, see? It's just a straight line. It's representing this, but in a straight plane, pretty much like the hair works, okay? Which this is a very powerful tool as well. And we can make all the maps like that, bang. This represents the front, but again, this brings some problems. And the problems is, you won't fit as precisely as it would fit if it's like this, okay? This is precise. the dev knows precisely how much room, how much, or the shape looks like. It is. This is not bad. It can work nice as well. It can be precise in some way, but the good thing about this is you can save a lot of time, and it's very, very organizing. Now, the size here, they're breaking. Grab them here, and then you can just stitch them together, like the same process. Again, if you want the dev to have the precise map, this is exactly the map you would give him, okay? This is the shape you would give him. It's the shape you create, okay? It's the shape that looks exactly what is in there. But, for example, if you're making a skirt, maybe you want to have this, like a straightened map, okay? Depending on what you want, maybe you want to have a straight map, okay? But it's good for the dev to know what he's working on, okay? Okay, I'm not gonna do all of them or we're gonna be here for hours, okay? I already showed you the process. You have the straight option and you have the way that you can just leave them as default. The difference is the space, okay? Remember, everything needs to be in here. Now this gap over here, it's gonna represent those gaps, okay? It's the gaps that we took out, it's the ear gaps, the ears were there. So the idea is, if you want to give a complex map of this to the dev, you're gonna give them this as well. I'm not sure if you can see, you can't straighten this one out, okay? So this map needs to be like this, unless you make a different scene. And what I mean by this is, if you would take this dot out of here, probably we would be able to, if we break this dot, see what I mean? There's a lot of seams when we break it, because that's the guy that connects everything. So if we have if it's a dot system, you're always gonna be like this. No matter what, you can change the map a little bit, but the best way and the easy way, it's going to be like this. It's going to be a lot of trouble. Now remember, the more you stretch this, the texture changes as well, okay? See how messed up the texture is here? The texture is not coming along there, okay? How do we fix this? By stretching this, it's a bad idea. As you can see, it starts to get weird. And again, this is not fixed here for some reason. It's not here. Welds. Okay, everything connected there. Okay. So as you can see here, it gets weird the map. And why is that? Because it's stretching out. Okay, because all the dots are connecting to one dot. Okay, and that can be a problem sometimes for mapping. But as you can see, when you pull this dot and you play with this dot, you can probably have some results. Now, if we break this, what I'm gonna do now, it's gonna get crazy a little bit. What happens is now there's a lot of vertex in there, okay? There's a vertex for every single one of those, okay? And this may help you, okay? What I mean by this is, I'm not sure, it's probably not going to work still, because we have structure in front, but what I mean by this is now, you can actually come here, see if we can separate those vertex a little bit. Start understanding what's happening and why the texture gets weird. Now there's doubles, because remember this is symmetry, so we work with doubles, okay? So this is another thing you need to be careful, okay? So you can start already seeing the reason why the texture is weird up there, down there, or the center of there. It's because this is not quad, okay? This is a triangle. And you can see how weird it is for the texture, which is a straight texture, to be precise in this kind of environment. Okay, so the more you pull this, the more it stretches, blah, 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 blah. So, a good way to fix this is not to finish as a dot. That's a good way, it's not to finish it as a dot. And what I mean by that is before, when I just collapsed, I made like a little hole in there. and I open it. Now, if you still want to make this like a dot, what's going to happen is this area of the material you need to do, if you want to be precise, you need to give the dev something like this, and you have to explain to him what this is, unless you put them all together. If you weld those guys again, the weld chapter showed big enough. Okay. And like this, maybe you should something like this, and you have to, maybe if you had another segment here, you can open this, but it doesn't matter. It's always going to be the same thing. You have to make sure you put some reference here, because if the dev wants to make something precise, he has to understand what's happening, okay? So he has to understand that this is going to stretch a little bit because the vertexes are not quads, which is they don't have four sides, and they are collapsing in one place. Okay, if you have just one dot mesh, this is the tricky part. So you can do it still. Again, the best idea would not to give much detail to the this guy. Okay, the best detail would be to just leave it as it is, not touch it, just fix the ears. If you want to have some detail in the ear for the dev to have, you can just do something like this. Or the best idea in this case, if you don't want to mess up too much your unwrapping, is don't touch the unwrap, because this was made out of a basic shape, which was the sphere, and just select the insides here and make the dev play just with the insides. And you can pick what the dev plays with, okay? That's the idea. And then when you have the map, remember, you have to give the map to the dev. You have to render of the map always. So I'm just doing this for, I'm not going to fix anything else. I'm going to render. I'm going to render 2x6 by 2x6. Let me see how the render is. Black. Okay, there you go. This shows the depth. If you don't want seam edge, you just render again, take the seam edge out, and let's go. If you don't want visible edge, take the visible. Well, you always need the visible edge, but there you go. You can change the colors of the edge. Oops. You can change the colors of the edge, I believe, if he lets me. He doesn't. Okay, there you go. But I recommend white. Okay, it's good. So the dev will know that if he crosses this line, it's going to be a different object. Okay. Now, just to make sure I don't forget anything in this tutorial, since this looks like a very long ass tutorial, but it's the purpose of this, you're learning. Now the transition, this is something very important. Okay. Some people don't understand this, and you have to, and the other dev has to understand this as well. The transition between this guy to this guy, I mean this edge, for example, it's this guy. How do you represent this? A simple way. You can stitch it. This is the inside. Actually, it's already a one piece. The 3D Max make it at one piece. But this piece actually connects with more than one piece. This is something you have to remember, okay? So this is where you need to do a little bit more overwork, okay? Now, you know, I select this because I want to select, if you want to select a full object, select this option. If you don't want to just one face, select this option. Okay. Little mistakes like this, they need to be fixed, okay? You can see already there's a mistake here. If it's green, it's not connected, so this is connected, okay? What this represents, it's the insides here. This represents this inside, and this represents the outside. So how do you tell somebody how this works? The good idea would be to stitch it right there. So this might sound weird, but it's exactly what I would do. It's maybe I would not do flatten, depending. I would have to test. I don't know if it looks good, if it's not. This is something you have to do. And I would stitch it like this. Okay? So what happens when you stitch like this? Now there's a few problems that can happen. This can change its size, but by using the custom, no, it doesn't happen. What happens is it stitches. But now we have another problem, because if you keep doing this, look what's going to happen. If we're going to stitch this one now to this size, let me go to grab this one over here. Okay, so let's keep stitching. Here it's going to be another map and another map. See, the problem persists here. Now, where is the other guy stitches over there? So this guy is this back. It stitches to that back. Okay. So what's starting to happen here, the map starts to get unbelievable big, but at least the transition is there. But remember, this is straightened map. If it was not straightened map, the transition would not look so beautiful. Okay, so this guy is not straightened map. That's not everything. No, dang. Okay, so it will be kind of messy. See? Now straighten map. Now when the dev looks at this, he now understands this is a connection between this guy and this guy. So now he knows that this was supposed to. There you go. So now the dev knows that there is a transaction. Which one is okay? That's here. Okay. The dev knows now there's a transaction between those squares. And look at here. You see those squares? This tells you how this works. Okay, this tells you how much stretch the mesh is. Look like it's very stretchy. If it's very compact, if it's not, maybe one smaller, maybe one different. Look at this, it's very stretchy. The way it was done. This is where you put the check pattern. You can actually see some deformations. Okay. Now, as you can see here, small and bigger, because the difference between squares is important, and they're not connected as well. Remember that. So you can stitch those. And now they should be a little bit better transition. See? Okay. So when you stitch, you need to pay attention to those transactions. Okay, those transitions. Those are important. Okay, and look how weird this is. I know it's a very small detail, and it doesn't really probably matter too much. But it's good to have to have the understanding and to make those little small details as perfect as possible. Because look at this. If I do like this, it starts stretching here. This is not good. This is stretching. Okay, because this guy is not overlapping correctly. This is becoming too big, and see this problem here. So what you would need to do here is understanding this. This means you would have to break this guy to look good. You had to break this guy and make it individual. But this brings problems always. But this would make a better map for the other pieces. This is where it's like playing cheese. Look how stretchy this is getting. You understanding? So the meaning is you can't connect everything. This is what I'm trying to teach you here. You can't connect everything to everything. Now maybe this one you can connect to this one and this one. This is something you really have to understand. This is good for not just Imvu, for everything if you want to take this a little bit more serious, but it's those maps the way they work. If this is a loop, they need to be straight lined and they need to be together. They can be together, which I believe is this. No, this is inside. Inside is completely alone. Now, a good idea here would be to make this guys alone and this guys, they can probably be together. Probably. But here, it's going to break. See the difference between the check marks? They're different. Why is that? Because it connects here. Okay, so he needs to be there. Now, this guy connects here. This is weird. This is going to create deformations, okay? Because the draw itself is creating a deformation. It's hard to explain this. You have to understand. It's like the map here, see, it's cutting. So it's going to create deformation. You can see it here. It's weird. Okay, so the best way to do this map would be to leave it like this. But again, then we'd have some problems in here. How do you fix those problems? This is mapping. Mapping is not easy at first. It takes some time. So maybe how would I fix this problem? Maybe I would just come here and tweak and find a better way. I know this vertex is supposed to be like this. It's weird for the mesh. But I know this mesh, it's not straight. I know there's like a gap here. And this guy, definitely, I don't want it connected. I don't want those guys connected. I definitely don't want this. I want this to be individual. I want this to break here. I don't want them together. But again, if you break something, remember, you have to attach to something else, so it's going to be loose. Okay? Whew, I hope I understand. I know it's can be messy at first, but understanding that this map would be better not connected to this one, try to understand the reason why. It's hard to explain. This and this would be perfectly fit, but there will be some problems between this one and this one that you would have to manually look into it take some time and see what is the best way that I know the texture will not break as much. I know, putting a texture here and fixing it yourself. This is when you're creating a very custom, map. Okay. So moving on. Now that I explained to you how to fix this, how to make detailed UV maps, how to make custom maps, okay. If you would make a custom map of this, that would be a little bit problem. That would be probably a lot of work, but it's possible. Again, flatten map. Everything is possible. As you can see, this will give you this part of the map. You could even relax this as an option. It's called, where is it? Peel. You can peel this, see? It kind of relax the shapes a little bit, makes them look more what they are. And you would probably play piece by piece, you would put them together. By looking at this, you would understand, oh my god, yes, if I draw an S over here, it's going to represent an S over there. So again, just to make sure you understand this, I'm going to just drop a very messy render of this. Render with V, I'm just going to render like this. Shit. Oh, sorry, English. Lord. Might be it. I'll push it. And if you come here to Photoshop or GIMP or whatever you use, when you open this, we can't see nothing because there's no background. We're just gonna keep a quick background. Okay. Now here, what I do, it's gonna precisely be there. What I mean by this is, maybe another color. When I put, oh, because of this is, oh god damn it, I didn't put color in this one. It's gonna be just gray. Oh well. When you put like the shape you put here, it's gonna be there exactly the way you put it. Okay. You have to be careful when you say. Maybe just save it as GPA, even if it's don't compress it and just save it as GPA. Don't save it as PNG. Sometimes it makes background, but having no background is good for the dev as well to help him out. So it's up to you, but having no background is good too. Now, big texture, and I want a texture randomly. I want this one. Okay, so now what is it? It's supposed to have texture somewhere. Must be this one. Is it this one? It's supposed to be this one, but it's not. I don't see the line there. Maybe because I save it with 8B color, but let's see if I put the correct one. If this is the correct map, actually. Yeah, the white line is not showing for some reason. I don't know why, but it's really weird. It's really supposed to showing. Let's make it save a JPEG. Okay. Even my Photoshop is shy. Okay, so now if I would come here and red, because white on is not gonna happen, so I need a color, so oh and I need the normal brush. This is what happens when you don't plan your tutorial, just come in and let it out. And whoa. Okay, oh dear lord. Okay, now this is supposed to be exactly there. I don't know what this is, but I can just like the shapes, so you understand. Place it, yes. Standard and don't compress. 12. Quality 12 is no compression. Now, when you come into 3D Max, now it's supposed to be there. It's supposed to be good this time. So let's grab it, and there you go, the red one. Okay, there you go. The white one was not working. That's normal. Maybe I have some opacity there. I don't know. See, now all those dots are gonna be there. See how stretchy it is? This maybe needs some more segments in here to not look so stretchy, you know? Look, see the shape? Everything fits exactly on the place you want when you make a precise map, okay? Now, the good thing is that you get precision in your maps, okay? Now, the bad thing is devs sometimes they don't want precise maps, okay? They just want to be there and put black and bang, the black looks good, okay? That's when you make simple maps. And what I mean by simple maps is you pretty much don't make maps. You use simple shapes and you don't use a map. I delete unwrap. You don't unwrap, you just use what is there. Unless the ears. In this case, probably the ears you wanted them to be affected differently, or otherwise it's gonna look just one color weird. When you have details like ears, you want to probably have different, like, you know, kind of materials. But if it was just the hood without the ears, probably we didn't want to touch the map. You just wanted to keep the overall shape, but you wanted to fix mistakes like this, okay? This always fix. If it was one seam because of the symmetry, keep it there one seam, okay?